Before we get started, I just want to warn everyone that this video is going to have some shit fucking audio because Audacity decided to crash and lose my entire audio track. So this is going to be just the mic recording from the webcam software, aka pure garbage. Apologies in advance, but it's at least audible somewhat. Anyway, go. Hello everyone, this is Zooc and this is part 7 of the No Bullshit Approach to Drawing. This is the second to last episode, and today I'm going to be approaching the eyebrows and be tackling the eyebrows and the head, as I've mentioned. Now this notepad, I don't know if the or sketchpad, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but it's in the worst absolute condition right now. Like, this was just left open in my room, and it has like coffee stains, food stains, all sorts of bodily fluid stains. I don't even want to think about it. So apparently my room is a field of harsh conditions. Anything that's left unattended eventually manages to end up destroyed. So I guess whatever I have of value, I should either lock up, put in a cabinet somewhere, or just remove from the nearest proximity. Because, yeah, I don't know what's up. I tried to be careful with it, but apparently it did not work out the way I planned. So the eyebrows, in the first few episodes I decided to do sort of an overview of what I'm going to do. And I mentioned that I'm going to choose a segmented style of eyebrows. So it's going to be, you know, the eyebrows are in essence tubes in this particular case. So I'm going to treat them as such. Pretty simple, nothing really difficult, so to say. For the newcomers, because I know I got an influx of subscribers yesterday, if you have any questions regarding drawing materials or where I learned how to draw, all the general stuff that people ask when they come to this channel and they're new, all the questions can be answered by looking up drawing materials on my channel or watching some of the early Q&As where well, basically that's what Q&A was created for, to answer questions such as where did you learn how to draw, who taught you this, who taught you that, all sorts of sort of general questions. So they're all answered. Right, so I'm building my shading starting with the core shadow, as I usually do, and then basing everything around that, because that's apparently the smart way to go about it. Or actually, that's just how I've gotten used to doing it, really. So I don't know. Do people want to see something else drawn step by step, or I don't know? I guess after the series is finished, I should probably start on something else if people want to watch. I know I get a steady 3,000 views on this sort of shit nowadays. So I guess there's a bunch of people out there that want to see this stuff. Not as many as I thought there would be, but what can you do? Such is life and all that. So I'm trying to get an idea of how the segments are going to look like, sort of molding the core shadow around the separate segments, trying to leave a little bit of highlight. I don't know, this doing it right now, I don't know how I want to approach this. Let's see. This is all like trial and error for me, so I don't, you know, even if I have a plan, like I said I did right now, it doesn't always work out the way I planned it, so can't really set anything in stone with this sort of stuff, unless it's something that I'm really sure that is going to turn out the way I see it in my head. But with this sort of spontaneous drawing on the spot, plus I'm talking at the same time, it's not always that easy or that clear. I'm trying to not make it look too straight, too geometrically perfect, because it is an organic being after all, so it has to have some irregularities, else it doesn't look natural. Again, for the newcomers, this is part 7, so there's 6 others. If you're interested in this sort of shit, just look up the title, the No Bullshit Approach to Drawing, and you'll see all the other parts. No biggie whatsoever. So what should I talk about? I'm actually trying to get an idea for myself of how I want this to look like now, because I kind of don't have one, unfortunately. sort of moving, letting my hand do the work, and I'm starting to see whether I want to go ahead and continue with an idea that I'm putting into practice, or change, or just move on to some other area. But this looks okay-ish now, I guess. Gonna start getting a little bit of sense of what I'm going for. Plus, I have the webcam recording, so I'm watching it upside down. I mentioned this a couple of times before. It's always good to watch this sort of stuff, or watch yourself doing this upside down, or the other way, like left to right or right to left, whatever. If you're left-handed, just watch yourself doing it. Just turn the image, flip it horizontally, and it's better. You get a better sense of what you're doing, and you don't do as many mistakes, or don't make as many mistakes. So this still seems too plasticky. It still seems like it's a toy. It doesn't seem very organic so far. Just trying to darken up the areas that I think should be dark. Just working around. I guess that looks okay-ish, I think. I don't want to spend too much time on one part, because then I start detailing the fuck out of it, and then that's never good either. Like, I'm all for details, but as plenty of concept designers and concept artists say, at some point you do need to stop. You need to take a step back and just look at what you've done and decide whether you're happy with it or not. A lot of times people, just for one element, like the eyebrows, they'll start a drawing all over again, just because the flow wasn't right and didn't work out the way they wanted to. So it's not a very precise area, this whole art business. Maybe for some that have a more analytical approach to it, but I don't. Sort of go by instinct and what I think looks good. That's why a lot of times stuff doesn't really match the rules of light and shadow, because I don't go for that on purpose. So let's see, what should I talk about? There's not much to say. It's just eyebrows. That's it, eyebrows. Not very interesting. Been working all day today, really, and haven't really had time to make this video any earlier. So now it's like almost 12, and supposed to be going to sleep soon because I got gym in the morning. Let's see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 3, and now 4. I guess it's fine if they're not completely equal. So this is the area that's facing the light, so I gotta approach it in a different way than I do the one on the other side. Gotta leave a little brighter area here. It's where the light hits it, so can't darken it too much. Drawing over a pretty big coffee stain right now. I have no idea how it got there, but it did, so I guess that's what happens. I sort of live in one room at the moment. Like, I do have another room that's basically storage, and my bathroom and the kitchen's downstairs, but the room here upstairs is my main habitat, so to say. So whatever happens, happens here. A lot of stuff is affected by that, fortunately. What can you do? So just doing the core shadows again. Standard approach. Using a 4B, I think it is, graphite pencil. Nothing major. Right. Let's see, looking at the webcam, I guess that looks okay-ish. It's not too bad. This area here is going to be really dark because it's exactly away from the light. It's only reflected light that gets here. I've explained all of these reflected light, core shadow crap in other videos, so if you're truly interested, just look it up. Or I mean, just look at someone else's channel. There's internet's full of them. Google it. Pretty basic stuff. Nothing anyone shouldn't be able to understand. Okay, let's see, darkening the underside here. Does it look the same? Almost the same. Doesn't have to be identical. There's a little difference here. There we go. Now the head is gonna be a totally different man. I have to actually think about where I want the wrinkles, because I do want some wrinkles. Let's see. This would be one. This is a frowning wrinkle. It does a lot for expression, so it's quite important. It's going to be a small elevation here. Should finalize the shape of the head now. This way, and this goes here, and that's about it, really. So start shading the individual frowns or creases in the forehead. Kind of accentuated on this character, obviously not the same as in human beings, but that's the whole point of fantasy. Accentuate what you can. Make the thing more interesting, more intense, more frightening to the viewer. Frightening, well, it's not really frightening, but stirring a certain emotion in the viewer. That's kind of the most important thing. So this area here is sort of facing the light, so not going too crazy on the shading. This is sort of rushing it. You might see that. If I were to not try and fit this in a 20-minute video, I'd obviously be taking it a bit slower, but trying to do my best here to stay within the time limits. God only knows nobody wants to sit here and watch me draw for an hour just on a fucking forehead. I sure so wouldn't want to watch myself doing that, so highly doubt anyone else does. I'm carrying some of the shadow from the first ridge, so to say, onto the eyebrow to unify them. Make it seem like one is popping out of the other, because it has to have the flow. Accentuating the shadow here to show the frown. This is really just a bunch of random hand movements. Like, I'm barely having any control on this. It's more like very intuitive, which is why it's kind of difficult for me to explain stuff sometimes. But intuition should and does play a large part in any sort of creation. Sometimes you just know if something is going to work, or like your subconscious kind of dictates your movements, which is it's good. It's not good to be overly analytical for something like this. Some of the best ideas in art and design and creature design, especially for movies and such, were accidents, you know, just happy accidents. Quoting Bob Ross again, yes I know, but he was right. I mean, there are a lot of happy accidents. Almost said little there, because I was thinking about the way he was saying it. Little trees, little happy accidents, yeah, just little, like that. But they do happen a lot, and they do play a pretty major part. Like, no, I've watched a lot of concept designers work in tutorials and such, like really professional people that work for major motion picture companies and such, and they're calculated or calculative more so than I am, but still you can see a lot of times that they just make these small little changes, small little gestures that seem completely spontaneous, and it works. You know, it's a mistake in essence if you're to look at it objectively, but subjectively it works for what they're doing. They don't even realize it. Like sometimes they'll go on about a certain topic and just do something that fits with the image without realizing it really. The amount of tutorials that I've seen and watched, it becomes sort of apparent at some point what part of it is intended and what is just their intuition, artistic intuition. I'm just trying to get a feel for the head here. It's very, very, like the ridges are very accentuated, as you can see. It's a very irregularly shaped head. This side is darker, so I need to focus on doing that now because it's away from the light like the rest of the face. Just more intense shadows. God, this fucking pencil is shit. Let's see, 16 minutes. I think I can fit it into 20 maybe. And to give it a little bit of shape here. Okay, so this is like part of a sphere, so it's gonna have this core shadow here. This part is exposed to the light, so not as dark as the rest. Just carry it forwards lightly, not letting it be completely white. As I've said, white is reserved for just the brightest highlights. You gotta have a pretty extensive range, you know, just set it up for yourself. Because I see a lot of people drawing in very, very dark blacks and very light highlights, and then they're out of, you know, they have a range of like 3 shades that they work with. So you can't do that because stuff looks 2D then. Whole point is to, if you ever taken a picture and desaturated it in Photoshop, you'll see like how many hundreds of shades of gray you can see in a single picture. And sure, ideally you can replicate all of them by hand, but very few people can do that. But still, you gotta set your drawing up to have as much range as possible. So not, you know, not using pure black extensively, not using pure white extensively. Just trying to keep everything in the middle tones, unless you're trying to really catch the viewer's eye with something. And then you can employ pressure and make everything darker or lighter. So just trying to equalize some of these ridges here, show the roundness. This is just touching up. I'm basically done at this point. Glad I could fit it all in. That's what she said. But trying to give it just a little bit more dimension, really. Not doing exactly what I said, like I'm over detailing. What you're gonna do. Sometimes you just, once you pop, you can't stop, you know what they say. Or was it once you go black, you never go back? Something like that. Doesn't matter. You get the idea. So that's about it. I would think. Is it crooked? I can't tell with this fucking cam. There's some highlights here that aren't to my liking. Need to eradicate those. Carry the core shadow up a bit, smooth out the gradients, and that should be almost it, because I keep finding stuff that I want to change. It's fucking annoying. Right, I think that should do it. Let's see. Yeah, it's got a pretty shiny head. Also, yeah, drawing upside down, sure, it works as well. Can just do that. Not the smoothest gradients, but if I were to do that, I'd spend fucking one whole hour on this shit. And let's see, what can I do? Maybe I can grab the kneaded eraser and just highlight his skull here. Smooth out the gradients and just apply a very small highlight just to show it's shiny. And on this side it's like here, maybe here, definitely here. That's it for now. That's the head. Gonna do the chin and the lips next time, and that's it. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.